Hello Amusement Park Portal. Thank you for tuning in to our latest video. This time around we're going to look at drop towers in the United States and see, well, are they a thing of the past? Let's dive into it. Now I just want to mention that there has been some drop towers built. However, most of them are like family style, smaller kiddie drop towers. We're focusing more on the major drop towers. Now, after doing a lot of homework on Google and internet searches, I come up with this. The last ground-up freefall ride to be built in the United States was in Orlando, the Orlando Freefall. And unfortunately, we all know how that ended. Since then, that drop tower has been disassembled and removed. So that leaves Dropline at Dollywood as being the newest drop tower in the United States. Now, there's been many variations of the drop tower over the years, the most popular being S&S's version of the drop tower. For example, Power Tower at Cedar Point. This actually put S&S on the map, as it being one of the most popular attractions they have built to date. However, S&S wasn't the first to come out with the drop tower. Intamin in the early 80s came out with the first generation drop tower, such as like Demon Drop and Freefall at Six Flags. Now, the slow climb up these Intamin 130-foot tall drop towers was probably one of the most unnerving feelings I've ever experienced on any ride in my life. Now, if you'd like to experience this for yourself, just head on over to Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania, as they have the last remaining Intamin First Gen Freefall in the country. Here's an old picture of me enjoying the very last public ride ever on Demon Drop when it called Cedar Point home. Since the first generation drop towers were built, there's been many variations and heights of drop towers built throughout the country. Several parks were in competition with each other to see who could build the tallest drop tower. There was everything pretty much from a gyro drop tower to even a version of the drop tower where you're basically standing up. And parks even used some existing structures, such as Kingda Ka at Great Adventure, where they built the drop tower Zumanjaro right on the back side of it. Zumanjaro was an amazing drop tower, and probably one of the scariest ones I've ever been on. Unfortunately, it's no longer with us, as Kingda Ka was removed from the park last year, and along with it, Zumanjaro met its fate. Now, going back to Intamin, in the early 90s, they perfected their drop tower, and they pretty much cornered the industry with their version of the drop tower. With Superman, you had the Giant Drop, you had Pitfall at Kennywood, and then in the late 90s, S&S entered the picture with their drop towers. Now, S&S's version of the drop tower set the amusement industry on fire. Parks were lining up to get one of these towers. Just about every major park in the United States got either an S&S drop tower or one of the Intamin drop towers. They were becoming quite the staple at amusement parks across the country. Now, you may be thinking, wait a minute, didn't Lost Island build a new drop tower with Skyborn? Well, you would be kind of right, because actually Skyborn was a relocated drop tower from Buffalo Bills Resort and Casino in Primm, Nevada, that actually opened up way back in 1997. And they ended up closing down and selling the drop tower to Lost Island Park. And that kind of brings us to today. We have more drop towers being removed every year than we have added. I mean, we haven't had a new drop tower in several years. Like the Mock Tower at Busch Gardens Williamsburg was just removed. Well, it's been about 2 years now. It now became a beer garden. Alright, so now that we've briefly touched on the past and history of drop towers, that brings us to the future. What do you think's happening with drop towers? Why aren't parks building them anymore? I really can't answer that, but I will throw out a few theories out there. I think one of the problems is, well, capacity. A lot of drop towers have low capacity and long cycle times, meaning it takes them a long time to load and unload. And then the ride cycle itself, well, you got that slow climb all the way up to the top and the drop. It's a fairly long ride, so you can't get the people through it like a higher capacity ride like a roller coaster. Another theory is maintenance costs. Now, I can only imagine how much it costs to keep one of these things going. They have to be inspected every day, meaning maintenance has to climb all the way up to the top of the tower to inspect all the parts. And yeah, that can't be easy on the maintenance staff or cheap. I mean, it's going to cost a lot of money to keep one of these things going. And my last theory is, well, popularity. I mean, popularity of these things seems to be dropping, no pun intended. Cedar Point, for example, you can go on a busy Saturday in July, and all the coasters and rides will have long lines, but Power Tower, usually 15, 20 minutes and you're on. So that may be a big part of it as well. Now, these theories are just my best guesses, but I want to know what you think. Why do you think parks aren't building drop towers anymore? And, well, do you still enjoy drop towers, or do you skip over them to go to like the roller coasters and other options that parks have? So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and as always, we ask that you please hit that like and subscribe button downstairs. It really does help us out, and we really do appreciate you for doing so. So until the next time, we'll see you out on the midways real soon.